Evolution Sports Talk Television live here nightly. All Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet? Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. It's the Sports Web live here on Bucs Report. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off the Sports Web? Let's do it. Let's do it right. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense here on a Monday night. Definitely get on the phone lines because I definitely want to talk to you. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. On tonight's show, we'll have one of our best writers here on Bucs Report, Mr. Joshua Cole Allen, as he was in on the presser today with Rob Gronkowski. So we'll get the latest from him, of course. And then, of course, we'll have my professional handicapper on, Mr. Harry the Greek, as always, going around the NFL, talking about the latest stories that basically we need to talk about with Deshaun Watson, about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and, of course, anything, again, that you want to talk about. Let me just make sure I have all my sound down here, because if I don't do that, then you're going to hear some notifications. So we'll do our best here to make sure those notifications are off, but definitely want to go out to the comments really quick. John Ford says, "Go Bucs." I like it, so I'll go ahead and fire those cannons. That's what's going to happen on this show. Every time you say something that I agree with, we'll fire those cannons, or you ask me to fire them, I will. If you give me crickets tonight, this is what I'll give you right there. Definitely don't want to do that on a Monday night because you put me to sleep. If you troll me, I'll do this. Don't want to do that. And, of course, don't do this. Again, that's if you troll me. Don't want to do that. But also, we can do this. Because, once again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are Super Bowl champions, world champions. So let's hear from you. What do you have to say about it? We'll definitely get your comments tonight. Let's go out. Pay me, write that check. Antonio Brown, AB, booming East Tampa, Liberty City. I don't think that's Antonio Brown, but if it is, we like to have you back in a Buccaneer uniform. Just saying, okay? We the champs, baby, LFG. And let's go out to Zach, Tampa Bay. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and start it out with Rob Gronkowski. Once again, he had a presser today talking about various things of him coming back. And in fact, let's start out with him supposedly getting other offers from other NFL teams and why he decided, well, I tell you right now, I'll go ahead and start the presser, and then we'll start taking phone calls here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, why Rob Gronkowski came back to the Bucs here on the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. Here we go.
There was a little extent to that. I mean, I was a free agent, so as a free agent, you know, you're allowed to talk to other teams. There's a couple other teams also. But just overall, I wanted to be back with the Buccaneers organization. Just the setup here is just unbelievable. Just the chemistry that, you know, I built over the last season is just fantastic. So just overall, I wanted to come back to the Buccaneers. But, you know, it's football. You never know how things are going to play out. So it was just good to listen to what else was out there. And there was something to an extent, but just overall, everything just fell into place right away, right on the first day. So I just didn't want to waste any time and just signed back with the Buccaneers right away on the first day of free agency and got it rolling because I knew I wanted to be here. I wanted to, you know, come back on a one-year deal because, like I said, I want to, you know, just take 1 year at a time. I feel like that's just the way to do it now. That's where I am in my career. Just, you know, don't set any expectations past a year and just give it up my all every single year. And, you know, it's just great to be back here with the Bucs and everyone, you know, it's just fantastic.
All right, so there you go. That was from Rob Gronkowski, the Buffalo Bills, and other teams out there. I want to hear from you. Were you surprised that there was a chance for Rob Gronkowski to leave? Because I thought there was never any chance, but like he talked about, he wants to go through free agency 1 year at a time. So what do you say? Him coming back, of course, I thought that was kind of interesting. I'll tell you another thing here. He also said this team could be better, and here's why he thought that here on the sports web.
Man, well, first off, I definitely do think we can be better on the offensive side of the ball. You saw it sometimes during the season at the beginning of the year, like we weren't really putting up points or we weren't really clicking together. I feel like with so many players coming back, another offseason under our belt, another training camp, a full season under our belt, that we can definitely continue where we left off. But that's going to be a lot of work. That's going to be a lot of practicing still. That's going to be everyone coming together and wanting to get better too. And I just don't see why that will be a problem. It definitely starts with myself too. And I'm willing to get better right away. So whenever we all do get back together and, just getting all on the same page again and just picking it up where we left off, I'm definitely excited for that. And it's like, I was learning a whole new playbook also. So it's going to feel good just to, go out there now during training camp and just do what I got to do instead of learning, just thinking in my head, oh man, did I do that? Did I get that audible right? Did I run that hot call right? Did I run the right route? Like when you're thinking like that, it's kind of hard to play your best football. So it's just great now that I'm going into training camp this year and can just, work on my skills and just go out there and not be thinking out on the field and just try to do what I do instead of thinking. Because when you're thinking, you're already losing. So it's going to feel good too to have a whole year under my belt with this system and playbook.
So there you go. Once again, Rob Gronkowski from his presser today on why he believes this offense can be better. Tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines here. Let's go out to Todd. Todd, you lead it off here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Go ahead. Have at it, my friend.
How you doing tonight, Peter?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, listen, I was listening to Rick's show last night,
Mm-hmm.
and the talk was a lot about Antonio Brown.
Sure.
And I just want to say a few things and hope you'll hear me out, and I'm sure you'll agree with some of my comments.
Okay, go for it.
Well, first of all, people that are saying we don't need Antonio Brown, they better watch the film on him.
Todd, these are the same people that said you don't need Chris Godwin. You don't need a franchise Chris Godwin. You're okay. You got Scotty Miller and you got Tyler Johnson. And what I say to those people is, why in the world are you even taking a chance at that point? Keep everybody in that building because you don't want a Brown going to another team and producing with a full year, being in shape, knowing an offense. You don't want a Chris Godwin going somewhere else and producing. So to all that nonsense of, well, you don't need an Antonio Brown. Look, you want to keep everybody in the fold. And just a couple years ago, before all the nonsense off the field, was he not one of the top wide receivers in the league? And can you imagine? It goes back to Rob Gronkowski and those comments. He's not going to have to think about the system. Brown is the same way. Not going to have to think about a first-year system. All you're going to have to do is be able to play. And then on top of it, you're going to get Brown for a full season in NFL football shape in this offense with a Tom Brady. I'm not letting him go. I'm trying to sign him as much as I can. Sorry. Don't agree with it.
No. You're spot on. I mean, you're absolutely right. That's the way I think. Listen, I hope people don't forget what he did in Pittsburgh. And he was one of the top receivers, if not the top receiver in the NFL. I mean, he's an incredible athlete. He seems like he's got his head together now, and Tom Brady has helped him with that. And he's with a good locker room.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good team. They all get along. They all root for each other. They all want each other to do good. And Antonio Brown is this is a perfect team for Antonio Brown. And he takes a lot of pressure off Tom Brady. He takes pressure off Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, whoever else is in there. Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, you name it, Gronk, Brait, anybody who's in there, and Brown's in there with him. he's taking pressure off all those other guys, and it opens up the field for these other guys. So people who are talking about, we don't need Antonio Brown. We need Antonio Brown. He's a hell of a player.
He is a hell of a player, and when he can keep his mind straight, which is what he did last year, and he doesn't have the problems off the field, and of course, that case still has to be resolved with the law system and the NFL in December, but that's, all the way in December. When he's able to do that, you saw it, 45 receptions, really got into a groove there, catching touchdowns, became one of Tom Brady's go-to guys. And then on top of it, here's what we do know. We do know that Mike Evans has a propensity, Leo word, of getting hurt because of hamstring, knock on wood. Also, Godwin the last couple years has been hurt. So why in the world do you want to get rid of a number one wide receiver that can come in here? I get it. I love Tyler Johnson. He's young, but I don't know if he's ready yet. I'm not ready to say he's not. But, why rush it? Why rush the process? As our JCA says, Joshua Cole Allen, trust the process. And I believe Antonio Brown will be in a Bucs uniform this year.
I hope so. And Antonio Brown, he is a number one. Mike Evans is a number one. Chris Godwin's a number one. Think about that for a minute. Think about that, Buck fans. We got 3 number one receivers on our team.
Yep.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
I agree.
And when you have that, and like you said, Peter, what you said a while ago, we're going to have mini camps. We're going to have training camps. They're coming in here this year, like Gronk said, not having to think. They know the system now. They know what needs to be done. And this offense, it's going to be scary. It's only going to be better.
I agree. So, I definitely agree with that. And we'll get to the Gronk comments on, why he believes it's so hard to repeat. But as I talked about on Saturday, and I continue to say this, Super Bowl or bust twice, 2 in a row. I absolutely believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can win the Super Bowl this year and actually be a better offense simply because of what Gronk has talked about and because a lot of these guys are going to be more comfortable in this offense. Plus, you're going to have the valuable time that you missed out on in that offseason. I think it's all going to come together. And with the Bucs re-signing their own players and then also having the draft and having still some opportunity to add to it, I feel like the sky's the limit for this team. And for me, once again, it's Super Bowl or bust. What do you say?
It absolutely is. And not to sell Leonard Fournette or Ndamukong Suh short. They are both great players too. We need all 3 of those guys back. And then we can go into the draft, and really, I don't think we have any needs. I don't think we have any weaknesses. We can pick the best player available. Yeah. And if one of those running backs are there, let me tell you, you might want to draft one of those running backs, because those running backs are a couple of those guys are really scary. Depending on what happens with the Leonard Fournette situation, we'll also get into that because we had the latest on that from Ian Rappaport. So we'll get into that just a little bit, but I know you caught the comments from Antonio Brown off his Instagram. Me and Playoff Lenny going to work this out. He didn't give a timetable on when that might happen, though, of course, but me and Playoff Lenny are going to work this out. To me, that tells me that both of those guys at this juncture are interested in coming back to this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. I know what people are saying about Suh. We'll get to that in a moment because I know Ron has some good questions. What else, Todd? Well, that's it. Suh's his wife is having twins. So I know he's got a lot going on right now, but listen, we need that guy back in the middle. I agree. We need him back in the middle with Barrett back, Levante back, with Devin White, with Vita Vea. Listen, Pierre Paul, that's a great front 7 we've got, man. They're unbelievable. I agree. I absolutely agree. And again, why ruin a good thing, right, Todd? Good stuff. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you right there, my friend. I'll give you a Peter, appreciate it, brother. As always, you're doing an absolute great job. Thanks for all the info, and I'll keep watching. Appreciate you, Todd. There you go. So again, open phone line. If you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers and free agency and what's going on in the recent comments from Antonio Brown, should they keep him? Should they let him go? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to the webheads here. Read these comments. I promise
I'm not going to neglect you. I'll get to your phone calls also. Again, 727-255-0391. Zach Shearer says Tampa Bay. John Ford, what's our chances with Brown and Lenny? Look, I think both of those guys are definitely going to be back in the fold. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The majority of those players, I believe, will be back in a Buccaneer uniform, especially in Antonio Brown. You look at, again, his being comfortable with the Tom Brady. And I get it. Russell Wilson is trying to get him to go to Seattle. They're trying to improve that team. But if you're Brown and you have an opportunity to win another championship, wouldn't you rather come back here with Tom Brady instead of going to the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson, where there's still some uncertainty if Wilson is even going to be there or not? We don't know. Leonard Fournette, the latest on that, Ian Rappaport says that New England and a few other teams are in the mix, so we'll see how that plays out. I'm surprised, but again, the running back market out there isn't that high unless you're Aaron Jones for that $12 million. So I expected Fournette to move on. If Fournette moves on, then I believe the Bucs will go after James White. If not, and they're able to get Fournette back in the fold, and of course Brown and Sue, then you got to feel really good about the Buccaneers' chances here. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Ben says crazy about Watson. Total 180 for him. I mean, we'll get into that situation. Goodness gracious. I mean, what a PR nightmare for Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. Christopher Cole says, hey, what's up, everyone? Let's go for 2. John says his mama lives in Florida. He likes rings. So Michael Bing says 10 million too much. 10 million for who? Gronkowski? Too much? Really? Did you watch him block? Did you see him block as an inline blocker this year on that line? Did you know how much of an impact he had on that running game and the passing game? 10 million? Too much? No freaking way. Tell you what, let's read these comments and then we'll go back out to Gronkowski and his presser today. I don't agree with that at all. Welcome back, dude. Gronk smash. Chris says, go Bucks. Brady says, hello. Hello. Susanna Moreno. Hi. How you doing? Welcome to the evolution. Let's go out to Justin. I think OJ makes $6 million this year. Gronk is worth 10. And a lot of people saying, well, you don't need Gronk, addition by subtraction. Don't you think they have a plan that with OJ and the way he played last year, they're going to keep everybody on board at this point? I mean, I just don't doubt this Buccaneer organization. They want to try to give Tom Brady as many weapons as possible. You don't want to get rid of weapons. You want to keep them. Did you see how dominating OJ Howard was when he was healthy? And again, it's a big if. Can he stay healthy? But he's a first-round pick. Bucs are not going to get rid of him for just nothing. They're not going to just let him cut him and not get anything for him. So I definitely agree the tight end situation is a lot of money invested there. But at the end of the day, it definitely helps out this offense more and more. Peter Blake, tell us your thoughts about Sue and why he hasn't been signed thus far. Not really sure. I think the Bucs are kind of trying to wait out the market, see what happens, and also try to do some redo some contracts. But I definitely think they will get Sue signed. I do. And if not, then that becomes a need in the draft. That's where you go at 32, in my opinion. What's up, Bucs Report? What's going on, Bucs Time 12? Nico says we should pick up Geno Atkins. He's out there, so I guess that's a backup option. Let's go out to Jesse Hemingway. Can Vita be Alstott 2.0? They've tried him in those jumbo packages, which Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy loves to see or loves to hear all the time. I would expect them to do a little bit more of that, but of course, you don't want to test it out. You don't want to hurt him. Can he be Alstott 2.0? No, there's not anybody that's ever going to be Alstott 2.0. But in the grand scheme of things, on goal line packages, when they have an opportunity to have 3 tight ends in, when Bucs fans are trying to get rid of Cameron Brate or OJ Howard, but when they have Gronkowski, Brate, OJ Howard, and of course, Vita Vea in there, I definitely could see more packages of using him in those situations. We need Lenny. David says, do the Bucs really need Fournette? I don't think so. I'd rather see AB and Sue re-signed. Again, they're going to figure this out. Do they need Fournette? Again, they have the victim of volume in a Ronald Jones. I like to see Fournette come back because of the way he played in the postseason. He was inconsistent during the regular season. But again, if they want to work this out, the Bucs want to bring him back, I'm all aboard on it. I really am. Pat seriously says, great show, Peter. Thank you very much. Christopher Cole, speaking of Evans getting hurt, do you think we should draft the 227-pound, 6'4" wide receiver out of Stanford that ran a 4.37 if he falls to the 5th round or later? I believe his name is Semi. Not sure if they're going to go with a wide receiver. I think they're happy with that position overall, especially if they re-sign an Antonio Brown. But it's certainly one of those things that if Jason Light and this organization feels like he is the best player on the board and it doesn't necessarily have to be a need, I just don't know where you put him at this point. I like the way you're thinking, but I'm just not sure where you put him with all this wide receiving depth that you have on this team. We should pick up Geno Atkins. I know you talked about that. Bucs time 12, Gronk 8+ incentives, well deserved. Black Crow Volume 2. What about AB? What about AB? We talked about it already. This defense won't be the same without Sue. I agree with that. Daniel says, I haven't kept up lately, but are they going to try to get OBJ or is he a no-go? No-go. No-go when you're paying $16 million to a Chris Godwin. That was a rumor out there in case the Bucs did lose a Godwin, then you go after an OBJ. I don't see it happening. There's no way. A lot of money invested in this wide receiving position already. And if you look at the future of what Godwin could get, Kenny Golladay got what, $17, $18 million? If Godwin does what he's done the last couple years, and that also includes stay healthy for a full year and is productive, you got to believe he's going to get at least 18 or more in the next year's contract when free agency comes up. So I'd love to get a real fullback in the offense. Just go out there, block someone out of their shoes, and let the back loose. Doesn't happen. Nico says, with Jaden Mickens' recent troubles, is there an option for a return specialist? Now, that's where you could see a wide receiver with speed right there with Jaden Mickens. And that situation, the way it plays out, of course, the organization has talked about it. They know about it. I don't know where they're going to go, but you would assume that if there is legal trouble, that the Bucs could look for competition at that spot, if that makes sense. So good stuff there. Tampa Kingdom, could you see Tampa Bay versus Baltimore Super Bowl this upcoming season? Look, I could see it last season. The problem is, Lamar Jackson has to get more consistent. He has to play better from the pocket, and he hasn't been able to do that. So I'm not banking on that yet. I'm not ready to say that Kansas City is not the best team in the AFC. Of course, the Buffalo Bills could be there. The Tennessee Titans could be there. And, of course, the Baltimore Ravens. But I predicted Tampa Bay versus Baltimore in the Super Bowl and Tampa Bay winning off of Colin Cowherd's prediction. I'm not ready to go back there with Baltimore unless I can see more consistency out of Jackson as a quarterback throwing from the pocket. Agree, defense won't be the same without Sue. Offense can be the same without Fournette. Just saying. Agree with that. I agree. Again, this is why I say victim of volume with the Ronald Jones. If you go out and get a James White, you go out and get another running back, or you draft one in a Najee Harris, could you be good with that? I definitely think you could be good with that. But if Leonard Fournette wants to come back and the Bucs want to make it happen, why not? Go for it. Let's go out to Lamont. Let's assume Sue comes back. What position would you look at in the draft? I would go cornerback or tackle. Definitely can't go wrong with any of those positions. Definitely a cornerback. A guy that comes to mind would be Newsome. Big kid, 6'2", ran a 4.3, 4.4 in the 40. Going to do more research. I still think you could go with the defensive tackle, even if Sue comes back, even if Nacho has been re-signed, which he has been. You could still go with Christian Barmore out of Alabama. There are definitely some kids there that you could draft at the defensive tackle spot. You can never go wrong with offensive tackle and defensive tackle. So as much as you want to go with the cornerback, and I know there's a lot of people who want to, and I don't understand why, because you have a Carlton Davis, and of course you have a Jamel Dean, and you have a Sean Murphy Bunting, who all those guys stepped up last year. I could definitely see them going best player available unless they lose a Sue. Then to me, that defensive tackle spot becomes a big time need. Jesse says, with the lights out, running game defense, do you think throwing over our heads will be an issue? I don't know what that means. I don't think anything is an issue with this defense, especially when they're shutting down Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs' potent offense and holding them to 9 points. I think the momentum will carry over in this second term to go for a Super Bowl. Bucs Report got a surprise for Bucs fans next month. I'll keep you posted. All right, Kyrie, appreciate that. Let me go ahead and fire the cannons for you there. And let's go out to Tampa Kingdom. What teams in the NFC do you think is a threat to us other than the Packers and the Rams? Packers and Rams, I think Seattle's definitely in that conversation. I mean, don't you? I mean, if Russell Wilson is there, you have to think. Arizona's made a run. We'll see what happens with that team. So Packers, Rams, Arizona, San Francisco, no matter what their quarterback situation is, they're going to get back all those defensive players that they lost last year, namely in Nick Bosa. That would definitely be in the conversation. And whoever comes out of the NFC East or the NFC least, will the Dallas Cowboys be able to be competitive? I'm not sure. Tell you right now, the Washington football team is pretty good. I definitely think their defense is pretty good. Now, their offense is a big-time question mark, but what did they add? They got 2 speed merchants now. Terry McLaurin and, of course, Samuels on the outside from the Carolina Panthers, both Ohio State products. So they definitely became a little bit better, didn't they? So those teams will definitely be in that NFC conversation, in my opinion. Good stuff there. Chris Williams, get a vet for the secondary and free agency. Why waste a pick on strength? I don't want to get a vet. I want to keep what you have. If you go out and get somebody in the draft, you go out and get somebody that can be your fourth corner or somebody for depth. That's where you want to go. And I wouldn't be surprised. Jason Light has drafted guys in the back end before. I just don't think, I believe Evan Winter mentioned this today. Jordan Whitehead's coming up for a contract. So you already have Mike Edwards, maybe a draft a safety. Carlton Davis is coming up for a contract. You want to definitely sign him to big time money. You would think you're going to. Maybe that's the reason why you draft a corner in the first place. So all those articles, by the way, are on bucksreport.com. Evan Winter, Joshua Cole, Allen, Ray Kennedy, just doing a hell of a job with all those writings of articles there. How about Sap's comments about Alabama's DT Barrymore? I seen it from another publication. I'll just say this. This is the same guy. And look, don't get me wrong. Warren Sapp is one of the greatest defensive tackles of all time, if not one of the greatest, if not the greatest defensive tackle of all time, period. Right? His career speaks for itself. But here's the same player who didn't like an Ndamukong Suh. How's that worked out? For the Bucs, for the Lions, overall in his career. He didn't like Suh. He liked McCoy over Suh. Here's a guy that said Myles Garrett was not a good player. Myles Garrett has been one of the best defensive players in the league. So whatever he says about Barrymore, I'm just going to take it with a grain of salt. I'm not necessarily going to bank on it because he hasn't necessarily been right about everything he says with evaluating talent. And just because you're one of the greatest players of all time, aka a Michael Jordan, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you can be an owner and evaluate talent. I kind of think the same thing with Sapp. I think he takes some of those personal feelings that he has, and he uses it in his evaluation. So I would watch out for that. I saw it. I know where it's from. I'm not going to say what publication it's from. Bring the pain, bring back Suh. Tampa Kingdom, what about the Saints? What about the Saints? I mean, they're there. It seems like, it doesn't seem like they're going to go with Jameis Winston at their quarterback and Taysom Hill. So what kind of downgrade is that? You still have Alvin Kamara there. You still have Michael Thomas. So I definitely think they're going to be competitive. Are they going to be as good as they were last year? I don't think so. I don't see it. Washington will win the NFC East. Fitzmagic with a solid defense. Bingo. With all those wide receiving threats, I mean, it's certainly possible, right? Antonio Gibson at the running back spot. I mean, they're solid. But their defense is scary. It really is. Does it need to be our first pick, though? Who? Cornerback? I think best player available unless you lose somebody in free agency. Like a Fournette, then you draft a running back. Right? Possibly a wide receiver. Don't see it. I know why. Because you got Tyler Johnson. You drafted him last year. You got Scotty Miller a couple of years ago. So I don't see them going in that direction. But you could draft a tackle. You could draft a defensive tackle. You could go outside linebacker. I mean, this would be the year to do that. To get yourself an edge rusher. Is he going to have to come in right away and play? No. That's the luxury of what the Bucs are doing right now. JPP, Shaq Barrett got re-signed. Go out, get a developmental outside linebacker, edge rusher, go from there. Doesn't necessarily have to come in right away and start. That's the beauty with the Bucs right now. My thoughts exactly, Peter. Thank you. Jameson, did the Bucs get J.A.? I think you're talking about, I don't know who you're talking about. Bring back Sue, then Lowe with the draft. Don says Sapp is not a GM. Exactly. James White. No, they did not get James White. Again, I get it. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he doesn't know the game of football. He's played the game. I have not. What I am telling you is that he's been wrong on several occasions, especially about Vita Vea. I mean, what did he say about Vita Vea when he was drafted? Oh, this guy can't work. He's too big to work in the heat, remember? And even though he started out with some injury, he was injured last year. Man, how much of an impact has he been on this defensive line? Sapp was talking about it. He was saying how he didn't like the pick of Vita Vea. He didn't see it. He was talking about Myles Garrett and how he wasn't any good. I'm just saying, take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it's worth. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Chris Williams, hell yeah, to the edge rusher to learn behind those two. Exactly. And look, you're not going to get, in my opinion, these edge rushers, these outside linebackers, they're developmental guys. But it's perfect situation. JPP is getting up there in age, just came off of surgery. You go out and get an edge rusher. You develop him for a couple years. Bingo, bango. He's pretty good on that edge, right? You think? Because he has the potential. And he's going to be able to learn under a JPP. He's going to be able to learn under a Shaq Barrett. He's going to be in a defense from Todd Bowles. That's going to work out for him. Don goes, I honestly not all that hyped about James White. Roberto says we'll still have a running back, Vaughn. He did good last year. Exactly. But if you lose a Fournette, you go with the Ronald Jones, you go with the Keyshawn Vaughn, and then you either draft one or you go with James White. How do you feel about that, Bucs fan? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Jesse, let's see. Quarterback in the draft to learn under Brady. What's your future after Brady? It's a good question. I know that a lot of fans out there want to see this team draft a Kyle Trask or go out there and get a quarterback. I'm just not sure if they're there yet. I'm just not sure. What's the future under Brady? Your future is Brady. That's what it's about. Your future right now is Tom Brady. The future is now. I get it. Bucs fans are concerned about the quarterback situation, but let's be honest. Do the Bucs as an organization do a good job of drafting young quarterbacks? Not really. Of course, you take advantage of the opportunity to get a quarterback that can learn under Tom Brady, right? I don't know if they're there yet. I'm not sure if this is the year. It may be. I'm not sure. I was just about to say Vita. Yeah. I mean, and there are fans out there that say the same thing. Well, you should have drafted the kid from, just escapes me right now, the Chargers. That safety from Florida State. I forgot his name already. And then you got a Vita Vea. And how well has he played for this defensive line? How much of an impact did he make in that postseason last year? Or this year, if you will. How much did he make? I mean, did you see him taking on double and triple teams? Did you see him freeing up those guys like a Shaq Barrett to have 4 sacks in the postseason? That's the kind of impact he has. Sapp said he didn't have that impact. Sapp didn't like Vita Vea. He didn't. He did not like him. So I'm just putting it out there. There's no hating here. I'm putting out the facts. So if there's a player out there that's one of the greatest of all time, and he's talking about evaluating talent, and then you go back and you look at some of the things he said throughout his career when he's evaluating talent, and he's been completely dead wrong, right? Take it for what it is. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts for all your auto parts needs. It's Advanced Auto Parts. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's go out to Tampa Kingdom. This may sound silly at the moment, but I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to go second place in the division as a wild card, basically taking our spot from last season as we take the Saints. Not sure about the Atlanta Falcons because defensively, they were god-awful. Could they get any worse than what they were last year? Matt Ryan, inconsistent. You still have Julio Jones, of course. You have the other wide receiver on the other side. I mean, they have weapons. They definitely have weapons. I love to see Buccaneers get running back like a Dunn. I mean, we'd all like to see the Bucs get a running back like a Dunn, but Dunn and Alstott, those guys are generational talents. You're not going to see that. Of course, you had an opportunity to get a running back like a Dunn. I think that's Cam Akers, but he's with the LA Rams, in my opinion. The future is now. You beat me to it. Exactly. I mean, why do you want to rush this? Let this percolate, as the kids would say. Why rush this? You got the greatest of all time. Let the Bucs handle this. And if they draft a quarterback, then of course that quarterback is going to be better off than any quarterback in history. Why? Because he gets a chance to learn under a Tom Brady, much like a Jimmy Garoppolo. Right? I think Ryan Griffin needs a chance. I don't think that's going to happen. Derwin James would be the name. Absolutely. Derwin James. Yep. Andrew Fulbert, the big board out of Canada. Christopher Cole, we don't need to draft a quarterback this year, maybe in the next few years or so. Don says Derwin James, right? You guys remember that? You fans remember that? Derwin James? I mean, that's all you heard from the fans. You should have drafted a Derwin James after his first year. And to be fair, you could see the point because of the way he played for the Chargers the first year and how Vita Vea got hurt and wasn't an impact. But boy, oh boy, did you see him later on? Did you see how he played when he was healthy? You see what kind of impact he made on this defensive line in a Todd Bowles' scheme? Would you trade it? If you took Warren Sapp's advice, you wouldn't have drafted a Vita Vea. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. It really showed up when he was hurt. Brandon Spike says quarterback would be nice. David says Tampa Kingdom. You may be right. Don says you're not hating. I'm not. I'm telling the truth. Let the truth set you free. I like Barrymore. I've seen him play at Alabama. He had 8 sacks. He was productive. I don't think you go wrong with an Alabama defensive tackle. I don't. Could he fit on this defense? I definitely think Todd Bowles can make him fit on this defense. Brady will play at least 2 more years. How about you, Tom, are retiring? Tom, no, I'm in my prime. I'm your Huckleberry. Okay. Don says he's been wrong with damn near everything out of his mouth. I mean, remember, this is a player that was trashing this defense. Did you guys forget how he was saying on Twitter he's done? You remember? I refreshed your memory, right? Okay. Don says, hell no, Falcons finished last. Tampa Kingdom would have been better if we took Dalvin Cook in the draft instead of O.J. Howard. I've always said they should have taken Dalvin Cook to take the pressure off the quarterback at the time and the Jameis Winston. But that's neither here nor there. You got O.J. Howard. And when Howard can stay healthy, which is a big if, he hasn't been able to, you can look at the potential. You can look at some of the things that he opens up for the other players on the outside. That's all I'm saying. Let's go out to Rob Gronkowski really quick. Listen to what he has to say. I'll get to your comments, and I will definitely take your phone calls. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. And then we will go out to my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. Well, I want to hear what he has to say about Gronk's comments, about the possibilities, the over-under, if you will, about playoff Lenny, Lombardi Lenny coming back, about Antonio Brown coming back. But until then, let's go out to Gronkowski and hear a couple comments here. First one is, how is Gronk feeling? Very interesting comments here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Enjoy.
I feel like I can play another full season right now if it started. So I feel really good. Everything that, I've changed, throughout my career, it's definitely paying off, and it feels great. It feels great to see everything pay off. And I feel really good right now. I feel light, I feel flexible. I feel like, I can go out and just play some football and just go out and not be thinking and just play football and run routes and do what I got to do out there on the field. So I definitely feel like I'm ready to go and play another full season coming up this year, and just take it a year at a time like that.
All right, there you go. So here's a player that some people will still say, some fans out there will still say, this guy isn't worth $10 million. He played a full year. Not only was he a pass catching specialist, as we saw, was he the same Gronk maybe 5 years ago? Maybe not. But you could see he was getting in shape. He was starting to hit his stride. Remember, he caught 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Hello? Not too bad for a guy that supposedly is washed up, national media and some fans out there. Why do you pay a guy $8 to $10 million? Because not only what he can do as a pass catcher with this offense and how Brady feels comfortable with him, but what he can do in the blocking game. Turn on the tape. Tape doesn't lie. Look at what he did against the Washington football team. Stifling that defensive line. I love that word. That's how Gronk plays, with energy. He talked about the defense today, playing with energy. He plays with energy. Stifled the defensive line. Chase Young. Other guys on the outside. Can't even remember their name. You know why? Because Gronk shut him down. He helped out those offensive tackles. You want to know why Donovan Smith played so well? Not only because of Tom Brady finding his consistency, but also having that help on that side. You want to know why Tristan Wirfs played so well? Because of having an inline blocker like a Gronkowski. So he's absolutely worth the money that the Bucs paid him. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Final comment here, and then we'll go out to Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, and of course, take your phone calls and talk more about this Deshaun Watson situation, which is getting out of control. Here's Gronk on why it is so hard to repeat as a champion, in his opinion, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here on the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television. Here we go.
I feel like I can play another full season right now if it started. So I feel really, it is tough. And, it's just tough to win a playoff game. It's tough to win a regular season game in the NFL. Every team's got talent. Every team's got talent on the players' side, and every team's got talent on the coaching side too. But to go back to back as champs, I'd never done that before. I've came close to doing that, but it takes a lot of resilience to do it. It takes a lot of determination, and it takes a whole team to do it too. It takes a whole entire effort, I would say. I'd never done it, but I'm just saying, I'd never been part of back-to-back champs, but I can just see that feel, and I've been almost a part of it. That it just takes everyone. It's not about one player. It takes everyone to rally up. It takes everyone to build off each other's energy and to keep each other going.
So there you go. He said he's never done it before. It's going to take a whole team to do it, right? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. We will read the rest of these comments, and then once again, I will go out to my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. Very interesting comments. You hear his comments. He knows how tough the challenge is to repeat. Why do I think they can do it? Because of what he talked about. It's a full team effort. It's not just the offense, because people say, well, Tom Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronkowski and O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate and the offensive line. It's the defense. It's the special teams. You re-sign a Ryan Suckup, who was 90% last year. Your defense is lights out versus the Kansas City Chiefs. You re-sign a Shaq Barrett. You re-sign a Levante David. Everybody is talking about it. Even in the offseason right now. They know what their eyes on the prize is. We heard from BA about a month and a half ago. We haven't done nothing. Last season is over with. Of course, we could talk about it in this show ad nauseum. They are the Super Bowl champions. They are the world champions. But their mindset is, we've got unfinished business. We can go for 2. we can bring the band back together. It's going to take a full team effort. This is the Tom Brady effect. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to the comments. I didn't even know who Vea was until he was drafted, and I did some research. There you go. Antonio Brown. Y'all stop disrespecting my boy OJ. Come on with the y'all. The y'all. Y'all stop respecting. Come on, man. Nobody's disrespecting OJ. I came on this show and said he needs to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's got the potential. And of course, he gets a chance to learn under a Gronkowski. We learned from him last year how excited he was. We saw when he was healthy what kind of impact he can make in this offense. I'm excited. I don't want to get rid of this guy. I want to keep him. I want to keep everybody. Why in the world are you trying to get rid of weapons when Tom Brady has complained throughout his last couple of years he doesn't have weapons? Now he's got him. You want to get rid of him. Why? For salary? Let the guys and the capologists figure that stuff out. Thank God I don't have to figure it out because I'm not good at it. I told you that. Gronk is worth $10 million even if he only plays in the postseason. Billy says Gronk is great, good energy, and plays hard and has fun doing it. So without further ado, let's go out to my professional handicapper, Mr. 88%, 89%, and of course, a new show here on Bucs Report on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock. It's the over-under. Mr. Harry the Greek, welcome to the evolution of sports talk television, and your thoughts on those Gronk comments. Kind of telling, let's start it out with him and the free agency deal. He's going to do a 1-year contract. He had other offers from the Buffalo Bills. And fans continue to say this guy isn't worth $10 million, but he's definitely worth his price, right?
He's worth whatever you can pay him. I mean, Rob Gronkowski, Peter, he's an offensive lineman who can catch a ball. It's just as simple as that. When you were talking about Wirfs and you were talking about the left tackle,
Donovan Smith.
I mean, they had incredible years. I mean, let's not take anything away from both the tackles. But if you remember correctly, in the beginning part of the year, Donovan Smith, even up to the mid part of the year, everybody was very down on him because they said he was just giving up the cheeks too much. I think you remember when I'm saying that. Mm-hmm. And then Tampa started, implementing more of the tight end sitting back there, giving some protection. Let me tell you something. He is 80% of that offensive line. You never know where that block is coming from. And I'm sorry, O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate, they might be younger. They may be more athletic, but they're not Gronk. Okay? No. He's not the same player he was 5-6 years ago. But let me tell you something. Those entire playoffs until he hit the Super Bowl, it was almost like Muhammad Ali boxing at a rope to dope. He just kept taking punch after punch after punch. And all of a sudden, he just sneaks behind the line. He catches the ball wide open 8 yards downfield, and he's gone for 25 or 30. That's what a tight end is supposed to do. That's how tight ends were supposed to play. All of a sudden, somewhere in the 80s, the tight end started becoming this flashy individual who had to catch wide receiver passes just like Jimmy Graham. Remember when they were lining him up on the outside when he was with New Orleans?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yep. They also did that with Gronk. He's not as flashy. As Gronk got a little older, he learned how to block. He put on a few pounds. He can still run. He's not as fast. But you know what he hasn't lost? Those hands. And those hands, that's right. How many fingers am I holding up?
10.
10 million, baby. That's exactly what he's worth. He's worth $1 million for every finger and digit that's on both of those wrists.
And I tell you right now, the way he played in that Super Bowl, and he even talked about it in his presser, how he got hit on his quad. He was feeling it. But his body feels a lot better than it did in New England, and Buffalo pursuing him, some other possible teams pursuing him. I thought that was interesting in itself. He also had comments, which I've kind of been saying ever since the Super Bowl happened and the Bucs won it, that this offense can be better simply because they're going to have those reps in the offseason that they didn't have last year. And then on top of it, a guy like a Gronk who talked about it. He wasn't necessarily comfortable in this offense right away. He had to think about this and that. He doesn't want to think because if you're thinking at that point, you're losing. So do you agree this offense can actually be better than it was last year, especially with adding an O.J. Howard to this offense again?
You know what? I mean, it's please. I mean, let's be real. They were really good this past year offensively. It's going to be really hard to be better, but I'm going to look right in the camera and tell you, it's not going to be a little better. It's going to be a lot better. This is it's just sick what this team's going to do. This is another year with a full preseason with Brady at the helm.
Mm,
Let's not forget, guys, the first 5 games of the season, this team was just starting to learn each other.
yeah.
Tom Brady with the running backs. I mean, I remember a couple plays early on in the season when he was trying to put the ball in the running back's gut and the running back's on the other side of him. I mean, it's just all about timing. Yes, this offense is going to be better. It's impossible not to be better. And on top of it, you got the franchise Godwin. I mean, for Christ's sakes, let's just sign Antonio Brown and just make the whole band come back together. While you're at it, bring him back and Ndamukong Suh. I don't know where they're going to get the money from, but hell, they keep doing it. I didn't think they were going to be able to make all the signings that they have made this year. This is the best general manager in the National Football League. Hands down, there's nobody better.
Is there another team, in your opinion, this year that's done a good enough job, as good a job as Jason Light in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers within the offseason with free agency?
No, not even close.
Okay.
I mean, it's Peter, I said this 3 weeks ago. This general manager is on a different level than any general manager in football. I've been watching football for years. I've been handicapping and gambling on football for years. Let's go back to last year when Ray Kennedy and I, we do I call them our production meetings before I was with Bucs Report, and we would sit out front and we were talking about there's no way they're going to be able to keep Chris Godwin. There's no way they're going to be able to keep Shaq Barrett. If they keep one of them, they're not going to be able to keep the other one. How they've managed to do this, it's a testament. This general manager, if there's a Hall of Fame for him, he needs to be put in at the day that he retires, because I've never seen this done before, ever. Never, ever, ever.
It's simply amazing. Of course, you brought up, and we're on with our professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek, Mr. 88%, going up to 89, 90% as we speak. Of course, new show here on Bucs Report, 9 o'clock Wednesday nights, the over under him, and of course, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. Going back to the comments from Antonio Brown on his Instagram, me and Playoff Lenny are going to work this out. So you would assume that both of those players at this juncture are going to try to work it out and try to get on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, re-sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then bring the band back together, right?
Yeah, I think so. But you could probably listen to the pundits around the country and the media is about as much as I'm going to. I mean, it's just almost insane. Next thing you know, everybody and their mother is going to be making Antonio Brown an offer. If that was going to happen, Antonio Brown would have been gone already. Okay,
Great.
there's no huge offers out there for him right now. For some reason, because coming off this COVID season, running backs aren't getting the money they're going to be getting. I mean, they haven't made any $74 million for Kenny Galladay. Okay, I mean, think about it. I mean, just think about that. And the reason why,
think about it, because I don't think he's as talented as a Chris Godwin. And if Bucs fans feel like Chris Godwin would have went out in free agency and wouldn't have got more than a Galladay, you got another thing coming. If Godwin gets out there, he gets one of the highest wide receiving rates that you ever seen in free agency. Not only because he's younger, but he's also more productive than a Galladay.
The top two wide receivers in free agency this year were both franchise tag. Allen Robinson of the Bears, Chris Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Going back to what I was saying about Antonio Brown, this is really simple. I mean, the pundits and the media out there, I mean, now they're talking about Russell Wilson wants Antonio Brown to come out there. I'm sure he does. They're not going to spend the money for him. Hell, they got to solidify their offensive line out there. But these are the same pundits that are saying that there's going to be a 3-team trade. Russell Wilson's still going to Chicago. Zach Wilson is going to the Jets. And the Jets are sending Sam Darnold to Seattle. Next thing I know, my buddy Gary in Atlanta is going to be sending me his check, and I'm going to send him mine. I've never seen so much BS in my entire life happen and being said in the media just to create stories. It was just like the same story that the Bears were the leading team to be able to get Carson Wentz, and there was never even an offer made for him. So, fans, let me tell you one thing. Believe nothing of what you hear and only half of what you see, especially from the general media, because I really don't think they know what they're doing. I just think they like to create these stories so they have something to talk about. But I can assure you this, if there was a play right now and it was big money, Antonio Brown be gone already. I don't believe he's leaving. The Buccaneers are going to find a way, and I think Tampa and Jason Light has said, do me a favor, just hang tight. We're going to restructure a couple more deals, and we're going to sign you. That's my opinion, and I could be totally wrong.
No, I agree with you on that. I completely agree. I think there was something, back channels or something along those lines. Hold up, we'll work out a deal. I agree with you. Mirsarik Tadi says, Cold Snow says, do you think AB will resign with us? There's your answer. Gary says, Gronk is more of an inline tight end. He is now more valuable as a blocker. His hands are still good, but no longer creates the separation. Gary I hope you're watching, Gary, because the Super Bowl, he had 2 touchdowns. He created plenty of separation. And during the year, Tom Brady missed him a couple times. He was creating separation.
Well, you know what? And he doesn't really watch as many of the Buck games, but I can tell you one thing about Gary Ivick. He's one of the most knowledgeable people in football you're ever going to meet. I mean, is he wrong sometimes? Yeah, I can look in the camera and say, you're wrong, Gary. Gronk is a great tight end, especially when it comes to blocking. And you're right. He doesn't create that separation like he used to. But defenses fall asleep on him because he's sitting back there behind the line of scrimmage and blocking all the time. Yeah. And when they run a zero blitz and he's sitting there and he's blocking, he's just chipping, he flips around. There's nobody within 15 or 20 yards away. So there's the separation he's getting.
I guarantee you, because I know Gary and he's a Philadelphia Eagles fan. He would love huge Eagles fan. And by the way, Gary, I hope your wish comes true because Philadelphia is telling me, and so is the Chicago media, you're going to get Nick Foles back with many blessings, my brother. With many blessings, you can have him. So to me, that's a mistake. You go with Jalen Hurts, you run with that quarterback, you build around him. Then they just get rid of Zach Ertz, who I don't think he necessarily can create that separation. You're somewhat right with the Gronk comment of he doesn't create as much separation as he used to, but he could still create enough separation.
Peter, you know just as well as I do, the backup quarterback is always going to be the most sought after quarterback, especially in Philadelphia, especially in Chicago and all your major market teams.
That's a mistake because you're getting back a quarterback that already has shown that he can win a Super Bowl MVP. You're basically setting your future franchise quarterback up for failure with the fan base because if Hurts plays bad, they're going to be screaming for Foles, not only because they love him because he won a Super Bowl there. With
the first time he throws an interception,
right.
They're going to be screaming, Foles, Foles, Foles.
Right. They're setting themselves up. They're setting Hurts up for failure again. I just don't get it. But that organization, to me, is just going in a different direction altogether. Who knows?
It's a shame because they were a premier organization in football. They really were. And I know Tampa fans don't want to hear that, but you got to take your hats off to what Philadelphia did through quite a few years. That was just remarkable what they did. They didn't really win too many of the big games, but they were there year after year after year after year.
Sure. All right. Tampa Kingdom says, who do you think is going to win when we play the Patriots? What do you think the score will be? I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win, most likely in a close game, because I do think that Patriots defense is going to be a lot better, especially with what they did in free agency. Are you most impressed by not only the Bucs, but what the Patriots did in free agency? And are you somewhat surprised?
No, I'm not surprised. I honestly think that they got their backs up against the wall. I still believe in Belichick. I still think he's a premier coach in the National Football League and probably arguably one of the best coaches ever. Okay. I know that's making Joshua Cole-Allen smile. I'm sure in the back room, especially when I say that. But what they did in free agency, they haven't done they've never done that under Bill Belichick. You know, I still think with the players that they're going to be getting back, they're going to be a formidable force in the East there because they're still a really good football team, especially defensively. And if they get that running game going again and they can get some kind of production out of the quarterback position, they're going to be really tough. They're not done either making splashes, Peter.
Oh, I don't think they're done either. They spent a lot of money.
By the way, when Tampa does play them this year, Tampa beats them. They don't give up a lot of points. Play the under. I don't care what the over and under is. It's probably going to be 50 points. Just play the under in that game.
Over under with Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown. What's the percentage right now you're looking at?
Under on Leonard Fournette and over on Antonio Brown. I feel they're going to sign Antonio Brown. I think Leonard Fournette's still going to go. And if he doesn't, he's going to be signing for a very, very minimal deal.
Yeah. There's talk from Ian Rappaport today that he could go to the New England Patriots, of course, with other various teams. But to me, I get it. You have Cam Newton, but the situation here is a lot better than it is with the Patriots. And that's crazy to say, but that's what we're saying. Would love AB back. Frankie smashes 41-13 Bucs. Gary Ivick again. It's all about deferring salaries and paying upfront bonus to create cap room. All GMs can do it. It all depends on ownership. Exactly. And that's why I get on the fans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they say, well, the Glazers, they're terrible owners. No, they're not. They've given the green light to the Jason Light and a Mike Greenberg that they're going to do everything it is possible to get another Super Bowl, to do whatever it takes to win another one. I'm trying to stay in Tampa. Brady loves me. The organization loves me. The streets of Tampa love me. And these young receivers love me. I do not think that's Antonio Brown, but if it is, I'll go ahead and fire the candles. Look at that. We got Antonio Brown tuning into the evolution. That's a crazy. My opinion is that we will sign Gronk. Gary Ivick says correct, Harry. Courtney Schomer says back. Okay. Brady throws at least 4 touchdowns against his old team. I'm saying 5. And Gary Ivick says Harry. Let's go out to one of the hardest working writers on Bucs Report, Mr. JCA, Joshua Cole Allen. Welcome to the evolution, my friend. And what do you first have to say to Harry about the Patriots? And then let's get into those Gronk comments. Welcome to the evolution, bud.
How we doing, guys?
Doing great. What do you make of Gronk's comments today about his body being good, and then on top of it, how this offense could actually be better than it was last year? You agree?
CBD is great, I guess. We started a CBD company up, and NFL has been a little more lax on lenient on some of those rules. He didn't have to play as big of a role. What's going on, guys? His body, as he said, is feeling better. Like he could go out and play right away. It's encouraging to hear because Gronk, as we saw at the end of his Patriots career, was a broken man. He had an arm brace, a knee brace, a neck brace. It's like he's walking down with a cane for the most part. But now hearing his comments and seeing how he's rejuvenated and refreshed, it gives me great encouragement that he's going to be ready to rock, ready to go. Just watching his Instagram video, he's hyped. He's ready to go. He wants to start now.
Yeah, he definitely seems like he's got the energy to start now. He wants to play another season. Are you surprised that he was talking about the Buffalo Bills and various teams being interested in him? It was a foregone conclusion that it was just the Bucs, but it really wasn't, right?
No, I mean, yes and no. I mean, he's been on the record saying he doesn't want to play with anybody but Tom Brady. Patriots tried to trade him to Detroit, and he said he'd rather retire than go there. Buffalo, I think it was more of a respect thing, due diligence. That's where he grew up. That's where his family's from. Check it out. Test the waters. Dip his feet in, like he said. But the water's cold in Buffalo on those lakes. It's not that cold down here in Clearwater and in St. Pete Beach. So the water's a lot warmer down here.
And the point is, look, guys, we all know when you get a little bit older, that cold is hard on your body. And, of course, all the hits that Gronkowski has taken, it definitely wouldn't have helped. Of course, Buffalo is going to be in contention for that division and possibly the Super Bowl, as crazy as that sounds. It's not out of the realm of possibility, of course, with the Patriots. What do you make of the Patriots situation? I mean, they somewhat overpaid. What do you think? Some of the moves, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. I mean, really impressive here. Matt Judon on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what they needed to do. Part of the problem is that we've had this conversation, and I've had this conversation with a bunch of people. Bill Belichick, the coach, greatest of all time. Bill Belichick, the GM, had some blunders there. Had some cap mismanagement. Had some obviously draft picks. That's why they had so much cap space. And that came out in an article by Albert Breer in the Monday Morning Quarterback today when he had a conversation with Robert Kraft. They've never been in a situation like this. But their last couple of drafts have stunk. So if you don't have good draft picks that you want to assign to good money, it's going to leave money open. The whole quarterback stuff, not having to pay a real franchise quarterback, even though Brady's been taking discounts since he was like 12, it's like, you have the money, go spend it, improve your team. In a year where there's so much uncertainty about players, about the combine, players opting out, multiple different facets and things going in that direction. It makes sense to go out and load up when you have the money on talent that you can that can come in and make an immediate impact right away instead of playing that guessing game, especially when you've sucked at it the last couple of years. And with Cam Newton, the whole Cam Newton thing, like it's like one of those things where, what's worse, not having a quarterback going to free agency or going to a free agency saying, hey, look, we got Cam as our quarterback. If it comes to the point where we can upgrade from him, we will. But right now, Cam is our guy. And if they went into free agency without a quarterback, I think it would have been a lot harder to convince a guy like Bourne and Aguilar and Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry to come here. They made a lot of moves on the offense, but also a lot of moves on the defense. And Judon and Jalen Mills, getting the two big nose tackles, Henry Anderson and Godchow from Miami. Bringing back Cal Van Noy. I mean, that defense looks locked and loaded. That offense looks like it's going to be a lot more competitive. And do the Bills have a little bit of a hangover? That's a question mark to see. The Chiefs, I certainly think, will. And the rest of those teams, I don't know. I like the Browns the most this year. I know, call me crazy, but I think the Browns are going to be taking a really big step forward.
Let me go out to my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. Over under 7 wins. How many wins did the Patriots have last year? 7 wins, right? Harry, for the New England Patriots. Did they get over that or under that?
I've already bet the over.
Okay.
I'm just going to tell you right now, I think they're going to win 11 games this year.
Wow.
Yep.
Did they win the division on that, or is it the Buffalo Bills that win the division with 13, in your opinion?
Listen, I proclaimed the Buffalo Bills last year in the middle part of the year the best team in the National Football League, even over the Kansas City Chiefs, even better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everybody remembers me saying that. As the season went on, I still said that Tampa was probably the best team in football and Buffalo was the best team in the AFC. They just so happened to not play very well against Kansas City. New England wins the division next year. Buffalo's going to get a little bit of a hangover. That defense is not the same. They had every chance and every opportunity to revert back to the way they were 2 years ago because that defense is starting to get a little older, which should be right in the middle of its prime, and it's regressed. It hasn't improved. Something's going on defensively in Buffalo. Miami's an extraordinary team as well, but they're not going to have the quarterback play. I have a feeling this team's going to regress if they don't get a Deshaun Watson. And as far as I'm concerned, New England's the team to beat in the East this year.
All right, there you go.
Harry
the Greek there, my professional handicapper, says New England is the team to beat. Let's go out to Robert Kraft. He was talking to Sports Illustrated. He said about Brady, and the Bucs' opportunity to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. He says, I was really happy for him. He's a great guy. He gave us 20 wonderful years, and he made the choice to do what he wanted to do. If we're not going to win and someone's got to do it, I'm happy for him. He deserves it. I'm not normally that polite. He also says, look, I wasn't that happy to see him leave, but we gave him the opportunity to do it. What do we make of those comments from Robert Kraft? Are we surprised that he was rooting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs? Because all we talked about and all we heard about was this debate between Belichick and Brady. But Kraft comes out and so graciously says, I was rooting for the Bucs and Brady to win.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Brady's like his adopted son. They have nothing but love for each other. You'll never hear a bad word being said about each other, and it makes sense. If they can't be in it, why wouldn't you root for Tom Brady, who has given you everything over the last 20 years that he had? Brought 6 Super Bowls to New England, multiple AFC Championship games, multiple trophies, multiple. Let's not talk about the ticket revenue, one of the highest tickets in the league still. Merchandise. He's done a lot for not just Robert Kraft, the person, but Robert Kraft, the wallet as well.
They've earned it. They've absolutely earned the right to have the highest ticket sales. They've absolutely earned the right to have the highest concessions. They've won 6 Super Bowls in this past 20 years. I mean, let's be real, man. I mean, that's just unreal. If anybody complains about that, that's ridiculous. You still have one of the best franchises ever to suit up, and I am not a Patriots fan. Let me make sure everybody understands that. I am a professional handicapper. I've been gambling on sports for many years, and that is by far probably one of the best, if not the best, assembled team ever to play. Ever. especially the 07, 08 team right there, I think, in that area.
It's hard to argue with that, especially with their defensive talent. And, of course, their offensive talent led by not only Brady, but, of course, Randy Moss and Stallworth and Wes Welker. And the list goes on and on and on. But I tell you right now, the list for this goes on, and this is disappointing. Deshaun Watson, 13 cases have been filed, up to 9 more expected, guys. With the NFL and their exercise and broad power, and this is from ProFootballTalk.com, that would be significant consequences for Watson and the Texans. Watson would be barred from practicing or playing. The Texans, however, would be required to pay Watson his salary more than $10 million in 2021. First and foremost, guys, how surprised or shocked are you by all these allegations coming out about Deshaun Watson? We never heard one peep out of this kid about off the field, on the field, great leader, and then we hear about the trade rumors, and then boom, here comes all the allegations. What do you make of this, JCA?
Oh man, it's a tough subject to talk on. I don't really know. I don't think anyone knows really the inner workings of it. I don't want to speak too much on it. I think it's crazy. I mean, I didn't expect to hear this from Deshaun Watson. I don't know. It's not looking good. Obviously, more evidence needs to be gathered and it needs to be released to the public before I can really make a strong statement on it. But as of right now, it's not looking good. He's getting Bill Cosby numbers.
I'd like to make a comment on it.
Go ahead.
Because I'm not as politically correct as everybody else in this panel, and I don't have an issue with that at all. Okay, what I'm going to say is this: you can accuse the man; it doesn't automatically make him guilty. Okay, that's why we have a judicial system here. There's a reason why the Houston Police Department has not investigated this. Okay, and someone just came out, and I just read it, and I'll post this, and I'll upload it to you, Peter, so maybe you can put it on Buck Report. But they actually interviewed, and a lady came out at one of the massage parlors that he has frequented quite often, and said there was never anything inappropriate. It was always very good conversation. Now, I'm not saying that nothing ever did happen, but why haven't the police gotten involved in this? And I'm going to tell you right now, there's probably, I'm going to say there's going to be, I mean, everybody loves to jump on the bandwagon and pile on top of somebody. It's almost like the bully who likes to kick sand in someone's face, especially when they're hurt. And I think this is what's happening here in this case with Deshaun Watson. And I could be totally wrong, absolutely wrong, but it smells like a fish.
Well, with all the allegations at this point, and the reason why we're talking about it is because it's a story. I'm talking about it because there's 13 cases here, and this is football news. And there was a rumor today that your Chicago Bears would be interested, Harry. Yep. I just don't think there's any team out there. And I'm looking at this article from Pro Football Talk where, basically they're saying, not only he could go on the commissioner's exempt list. I just can't see that. I could see the Texans going to the NFL and saying, with all these allegations, do we really have to pay him? Could his contract? I mean, this is a big time story. And this is a story because this is one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
You know what? You know what? I got to tell you, the NFLPA will get involved on this. Okay. If you think that the Colin Kaepernick thing was a big ordeal and the NFL decides to ban him, Deshaun Watson, from playing, you have no idea what kind of an uprising is going to happen. There's going to be boycotts in the National Football League. They can't do nothing to this young man until he's tried in a court of law. And the police haven't even investigated this. And if the NFL actually suspends him for these allegations without proving him guilty, shame on the National Football League. And I'm telling you now, people haven't heard the end of this. There's going to be well over 20 women, in my opinion. So right now, was it 12 or 13? I'm going to say bet the over on this one. There's going to be over 20 women that are going to probably be accusing him of any kind of misconduct. And again, if something is wrong, he needs to pay the price for it. If he did something wrong. But the police haven't investigated this, and this has been going on for how long? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as the Chicago Bears or anybody else looking to get them, yeah, you tread with caution, you approach with caution, but until there's an investigation and he's proven guilty, I don't think they can do anything to him. And you can't suspend him for allegations only. I'm sorry. It's not like he was beating his girlfriend up or his wife or his children to be a child abuser. I mean, let's go back and let's talk about a particular running back that was in the NFC North that got in trouble because he apparently spanked his child.
Mm.
Do you guys remember that?
And he got suspended for it. And that
he was also found guilty.
Mm.
Okay. These are only allegations that we're hearing about coming out in Houston right now. And again, there has been no formal investigation. This is a lawsuit. Peter, I could sue you for looking at me the wrong way. And I could say you sexually molested me, Joshua Cole Allen, by looking at me funny through this TV screen. Just like that, you see? But what are they going to do to you? I mean, it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my opinion, you're innocent until you're proven guilty.
There's with allegations like these, it's tough because obviously everyone knows the story about Brian Banks. A tragic story. Could have been a great football player. Deshaun Watson is a great football player, but we also know other stories like Ray Rice and Kareem Hunt and Greg Hardy.
But they did it though, Joshua.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. They did it. We don't know Deshaun Watson did it, but as Gary mentioned, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't necessarily know if it's gone to the extremes or the lengths that some of these women are saying, but I'm also not going to say I don't believe them either. I need more evidence and on both sides of the case before I can make a sound judgment on either or. And I'm Switzerland right now until I know more facts, and I don't know enough facts to be able to give a clear-cut thought and comment on the case right now. It's tough.
All right, so I just want to say with over-under here percentage that teams would be interested in him. You saw the rumor today with the Chicago Bears. Under 50%. I mean, honestly, are there any teams right now that are interested in this kid as we speak right now? Here?
Of course.
I'd say 6 or 7 teams minimum.
Yep.
Up to 10 teams would still be interested in him because there's no police investigation, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was just a report yesterday that said 6 or 7 teams are still interested in him. I mean, Mike Vick got another chance. Kareem Hunt got another chance. Ray Rice, for some reason, did get another chance. But talent wins over anything, any day. And if you got the talent, they're going to look at you. They're going to give you another shot. Yeah. And it's kind of why the Texans, I think, brought in Tyrod Taylor, just traded for Ryan Finley, as insurances just in case to be able to have those guys if Watson's not able to go and still on the team. It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, it's a mess of a situation again here on the web. If you guys want to talk about it, I don't care. I'll talk about it. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to these comments. I heard this was the best show in Tampa, says Antonio Brown. I like it. Gary, I know that's not Antonio Brown. That's funny. Gary, give me the over under and how many women. Okay, we went through that already. Leroy says, "What's up, Joshua?"
What's up, Leroy?
Frankie says, as a Pats fan who lives 30 minutes from the stadium, I feel the same as Kraft. Many people here do. I mean, he's a stand-up guy. He talked about how he didn't want to lose a Brady, and now he's rooting for him. So I thought that was interesting in itself. Now, I kind of talked about this, and we'll get back to the comments in a moment here, with Aaron Rodgers, because we talked about quarterbacks in the league, the haves and have-nots, with the Bucs and Brady redoing his contract. Now Patrick Mahomes followed suit. Now this story from Pro Football Talk, Aaron Rodgers, according to Mike Silver, has looked like he's going to restructure his deal. This seems like the end thing. And with all the talk of Jordan Love possibly taking his job, I mean, this is really, Josh, the smartest thing to do for the Packers going forward if they want to create not only salary, but an opportunity to build on this team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also a way to give him some more money because he's severely underpaid right now. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, what the restructure looks like. I've been saying this since he came out, and, we heard the trade stuff, and we heard the, the whole contract extension and what let's see what the restructure looks like. They have 2 years of Aaron Rodgers before that third year where they'd have to make a decision on Jordan Love afterward. If you're going to pick up that 5th year for Jordan Love without seeing him play and pay him $25 million, I don't think so. So if Jordan Love really is the next guy, look for this restructure to be for 2 years and to give him the reins over to Jordan Love in that third year, and Aaron Rodgers would end up moving on. But it's a smart thing to do, especially in a pandemic situation. You're going to get your money up front. It's not like you're taking any money or they're taking any less. With the salary cap so low, if he wants to help put guys around him on the team, it's something that, I think most quarterbacks are looking into. You saw it happen with Patrick Mahomes. They tried to go get Juju Smith-Schuster. That didn't work out for them. Imagine Juju on that team. They really should be focusing on the defense and still fixing that offensive line after they made a couple moves, but they still need some help there. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do, what they open up. There's a couple good receivers still on the market. Two guys that we kind of talked about it earlier, but Tom Brady's in that upper tier of quarterbacks. So is Aaron Rodgers. So is Russell Wilson. And if one of those teams come offering $8 million, knocking on the door of Mr. Antonio Brown, does he go to one of those teams to play with one of those quarterbacks? So that would be an interesting situation to monitor too. I think he stays in Tampa. Ian Rappaport earlier today on Pat McAfee said he thinks he stays in Tampa. But hey, is Aaron Rodgers potentially opening up money to bring in a wide receiver like that? We'll see.
All right, I tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines here. We got Joshua Cole Allen, one of our hardest working writers on Bucs Report, my professional handicapper, Mr. Harry the Greek. Let's go out to Sean the Sports Don. What do you have to say? Welcome to the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts.
What's going on? I was listening to you guys talk about Deshaun Watson, and I just want to make sure I clarify something. The NFL doesn't need you to be found guilty of anything in the court of law.
Correct.
They will go ahead and suspend you anyway. If you make the Shield look bad in their opinion or with their investigations, Jameis Winston was never found guilty in that Uber driver situation. They still sat his behind down for 4 games. Okay? So what Deshaun Watson is going through right now, and as the days go on, the number just keeps rising and keeps rising. Eventually, the NFL is going to make a decision. It's going to be tough because how can you pull him off the field if anything hasn't taken place or you don't know what the end result is? But the NFL, all they have to do is conduct their own investigation. If they feel like the women are credible or the argument is credible, like they said, I think that was the wording what they used with Jameis Winston, they can sit him down regardless.
Jameis did it.
But didn't Jameis actually apologize to the Uber driver publicly?
He apologized because he said, if I made you feel uncomfortable or something like that.
And there was a police report.
No, it was no. There was no police report for the Uber driver. It was just a job complaint. It was never a police report. Don't get that one confused with the what happened in Tallahassee. This was just
that's right.
Who complained at the job, and then remember when the first report came out, this is not about money, and then a week later it was all about money, and so Jameis Winston went on ahead and settled with it because again he was inebriated. He can't even remember if he did anything or not, but he never said yes I did touch you or anything like that. So the NFL said, hey, based on our investigation, we're going to sit Jameis Winston down for 4 games. And what they're going to do, they're going to investigate this thing. Regardless of what the Houston Police Department does, the NFL is going to make a decision, and Deshaun Jackson could be facing a major suspension here, guys.
Yeah, I think really so, too. I really think the PR is a nightmare. It's a nightmare for Houston.
It's a nightmare. And I'm not going to sit up here and say he's guilty, and I'm not going to say he's not guilty. Okay, because that's going to be for the courts and whatnot to prove, and the young ladies to prove. It's on them to prove the guilt for sure. But just because it looks like this and the number keeps growing, it does not good for Deshaun Watson.
No,
it really doesn't. And then you got to think about the new team. I understand the talent he is, but bringing him on to your team. We're right now with the way we are empowering women. We're seeing it all around the world right now. We're seeing Chris Cuomo going through, or the governor of New York, he's going through some things right now. You got a lot of these women speaking out about certain things. So if it's one person, you may be able to get away with it and bring them to your team and people will overlook it. When it starts getting to these numbers, it's going to be hard to justify that if you can't look at your fan base and say, we've vetted everything and we feel 100% certain that all of these charges are bogus.
Yeah, I think it's put perfectly. And again, the NFL doesn't need anybody to be guilty of anything. All it needs to do is have somebody bring shame to the Shield which we've seen before, whether guys are guilty or not, yeah, they get suspended, and it could be a long suspension. And I think Rob Rashoot brings up a great point of Shooter and Stash here. Imagine if he got traded for last month for 3 first-rounders.
Oof.
I mean, you're looking at it right now, this team, and I just I don't know how to comment on it besides the fact that it's a disappointing situation. I'm shocked by it because he is such a talented young quarterback that's done so many things, and you expect him to be around for the next 10 to 15
you've
years.
never heard of anything like this. He's had a pristine,
right.
And I think that's why everybody's walking on eggshells here. Now, can you imagine if this was Jameis Winston, this was coming out? No one would be giving Jameis Winston the benefit of the doubt.
No.
He would be getting run through the mail, and everyone would say, kick him out the league.
Yep.
Okay, but you're talking about a young man. And Dabo Swinney came out in his defense today. Right now, if I was anybody, I would not be coming out in defense of anything right now.
Well, we know Dabo does not back down from any comments, no matter how stupid they sound or not. I mean, that's Dabo. So.
Well, I just because at this point, because again, the numbers are getting so large now, and you have to, and we've had this conversation before. I've always said it. Listen, someone can say, Sean, you stole something out of my house, right?
Yep.
One person can
Sean,
say,
you stole my airtime, like always.
Right. you stole something out of my house. You can get away with that. But if you got 500 people coming out saying I stole something, then chances are I probably am a thief. Because you're just not going to
with 10 more
time. You can't. So at this point, I'm hoping everything is good. I'm not going to sit up and say he did it. I'm not going to say he didn't do it. But at this point, I don't know how any team could justify giving up 2 or 3 first-round draft picks and bringing him in with all this clout over him right now.
It's almost 24 women coming out. I mean, they said 12 already came forward, about 10 more. That's 22. I mean, the numbers are adding up, and they're not looking good for his favor. That's all I got to say. I mean, due process for sure before, anyone should really make any strong comments. But, as everyone said on the panel and Sean the Sports Don, I mean, it's not looking good. 1, 2, 3, maybe even 5, but 20 something, it's not looking good.
I say even 5, even 1 or 2 at 1. But if there's more than 1 at that point, then again it comes back to what? A pattern of behavior, and that's a problem. And that's what we always see with Roger Goodell when he talks about suspending guys. He talked about Ezekiel Elliott. The reason why he suspended Elliott was because of a pattern of behavior. This is a pattern of behavior. So definitely I think there's a suspension, whether he's found innocent or guilty or not, because of shaming the Shield in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Well, now that one on Ezekiel, I never thought he should have been suspended. That one was totally bogus in my opinion. I remember we had a big debate on that one.
Well, we did have a debate, but what was the thing we had a debate on? Because he was putting himself in that situation to have a target on his back. You're in a bar. Right. When you know that the NFL is after you, you're at a concert doing stupid stuff. You should be at home. You're a rich guy. Stay in your mansion.
Hire someone to come out and perform at your house for you.
And if if somebody's going to come to your house, okay, ban the cell phones, because those idiots that come in there with their cell phones, they're always taking videos. If you ban the cell phones or you don't let those people come into your house, then you don't got a problem. But if you put yourself out there as the target, that's what you're going to get.
Well, it's so difficult now because we expect these young men to live in a bubble. What I expect these young men to do is just have some type of decorum about them and be a little bit more judicious of who you hang around with. I don't never want to tell a young 20-year-old, 22-year-old with money to stay in. I remember being 22-year-old and I had 2 quarters in my pocket, but I still went out because there was no way at 22 I wasn't going out.
Right.
So to expect these young men to put in all this time and effort to get to a level of success and say, well, be home and just stay home and only just bring people into your house. I mean, they're not trying to be a hermit there. Not everybody's Tom Brady. Not everybody, you know what I mean?
Well, maybe they should be because they'd be the greatest of all time, And by the way there, Sean, I got a receipt for you. We were talking about quarterbacks that restructured, and it just so happens that Aaron Rodgers is following suit to Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. So what do you think about that, buddy?
Well, because he's 37 years old, he's already made hundreds of millions of dollars. He can do that. But I'm talking about these new people who get in their first bag. I'm not telling them to go ahead and do that because you're trying to set yourself up for generational wealth. And oh, by the way, I had a tragedy necessarily. I know of someone who going through in this situation. And me having family members who have suffered from suffer from Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
I know the trauma that can come with that. I know of someone now who found out that his significant other has that, and he was talking about if they had to do certain things, like just do living care, put them somewhere where they can have that care around the clock. That's $10,000 a month. So you never know what type of situation you're going to be in financially down the road. So if these young men are in position to set themselves up for cash that they'll never know if they will need it. Everybody just thinks it's about, I want to be able to just buy my family a Benz. It's more than that. You're trying to set yourself up to where you can be as independent as possible for as long as possible. And I cannot fault these young men for saying, you know what, I'd rather go get this $35 million as opposed to taking $25 million. I don't think it's wrong for those young men to do that because this is the only time they get a chance to cash in. If you're in position like Brady, like Aaron Rodgers, by all means, do it. Neither one is wrong. I think what I have a problem with is we're telling these young men that they're wrong for getting that bag, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong because any play could be their last play. And you should have took 25 when you had a chance, or now you only took that 15, and now you have injuries. And the NFL don't take care of you no more. I mean, we have ex-players right now fighting for the NFL for certain money that they think they should get. So the NFL don't give back to you. The fans aren't loyal to you. You got fans wanting to cut Golston, and he's only making $5 million. I mean, come on. I'm not going to get mad at
fans that are trying to cut Cameron Braid every year. You got fans trying to cut O.J. Howard because they're trying to free up money. But I always say this, let the organization handle it. I get it. We all want to be, secret GMs and cut money and stuff like that. But they know what they're doing. They know how to keep this team intact. And my point was that I think instead of a quarterback signing a big-time contract like you see around the NFL, I think what you're going to start to see is when that quarterback does sign that big-time contract, that eventually they're going to have to restructure, or they may take a little bit less because it gives their team the opportunity to compete. That's my only thing with the Dak Prescott deal. I'm happy for Prescott getting his deal with the Cowboys. What I'm kind of wondering is, what does it do for the future of that franchise? We've already seen Patrick Mahomes do a restructuring. We're now seeing Aaron Rodgers. Of course, we talked about Brady freeing up the $19 million, and look at what that did for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, but restructuring don't necessarily mean you took less. Restructuring just means you changed the language in the contract, because Brady still got $41 million right now. When he signed that contract, he got $41 million right then. So I mean, really, are you really taking a pick, or we just did some language in the contract, salary cap language, so we can spread some of this money around? That's what that is about. Now, granted, he could still want to get $40 million a year, like you said, Dak Prescott is doing. He's never been there. I think Tom Brady's salary cap was going to be, 28, 29 million this year if he didn't restructure. That's not 40. That's still 10 million he was leaving there. But when you restructure it, you change the language, and you can start kicking some money down the road. Again, though, Dak Prescott was a 4th-round draft pick. If he's made $2 million in his career, except for last year when he did the played on the tag, he didn't make any money. So he's in a different position. He has to get that bag right now. And you can't be mad at those young men for doing what
I'm not mad at it. What I'm wondering is,
every other quarterback that's ever lived in this thing except Tom Brady.
I'm just saying, Tom Brady knows how to get it done. He continues to do it the way he's been doing it, and it works for him. I'm just saying quarterbacks maybe should take a page out of Tom Brady's book. That's all I've said. And lo and behold, you have quarterbacks around the league kind of doing it. Sean, the Sports Don, anything else, buddy?
No, man. Y'all have a good one. And, man, let's keep our eye on what's going on here. Shout out to Sean. I mean, my condolences to Sean Bradley. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Yeah.
I just read it. He got paralyzed, man, on the bike. So, that's tough to see. Again, there you go. Now he can't even make any money. Hopefully, put some of that money away, because now you can't even do anything else. And that type of care, for being paralyzed. That's a lot of money too there, brother.
Unfortunate situation for Mr. Bradley. Good stuff there, Sean the
All right,
Sports
brother.
Don, my former co-host there from a radio station in a galaxy far, far away. Josh, I know you got to get out of here, man. Your final thoughts.
It's been a couple slow days over here with the Buccaneers, but I think things will start picking back up soon. They're going through the motions of restructuring. I believe they have around $1.2 million left, and everyone wants to know about Sue and Fournette and Antonio Brown. And I think that while those are the big names to watch, there's also a plethora of other guys to sign. You've got to sign Blaine Gabbert back, guys like Russ Cockrell, Josh Wells is another one. We saw Andrew Adams leaving free agency, but there's other players on this team that need to be brought back as well as depth pieces. They started that with Nacho and obviously Aaron Stinney, but they need to keep doing that as well. So 1.2 million is not enough to even sign your draft class. So we're just kind of sitting here like everybody waiting for that next shoe to drop to see who they're going to restructure and what it looks like. If you want to see an idea of who might be open to pay cuts or restructures or extensions, go ahead and go over to Bucs Report. I've got an article about that. 9 players who could open up some cap space by restructures or extensions. I also have an article right now. If you're bored, you want to talk draft. My latest mock draft just came out about 2 hours ago. So go check that out over on BucsReport.com. My Twitter handle, as always, Joshua_C_Allen. Audible will be coming back. Just got my intro, got my outro. Got to go with Peter, get my StreamYard back up and running. And we're going to be ready to rock very shortly here. Otherwise, make sure you guys check out the locker room as well. Last night with Dave Culp and Leroy, who are both in the comments, we did a mock draft all together in the room. We went on the PFN network and played out a mock draft. Our pick 32 came to us. We traded down, picked up more players, more picks. It's been a lot of fun. Me and Evan Winter are going to start a weekly room there, talking to you guys, fans, and you guys come up and talk to us, ask us questions, just kind of shoot the S with us and hang out. So make sure you get on the Locker Room app for iOS. Android's coming soon. Other than that, Peter, always a blast to be on here. Harry, I want to thank you. You already know what I'm talking about. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, good stuff. JCA, Joshua Cole Allen, one of the hardest working writers here on Bucs Report. Thanks a lot for your time, boss. All right?
Always.
All right, man. There you go. Good stuff. And again, open phone lines, whatever you want to talk about, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Gary Ivick. Great caller that he is. People are human, make mistakes. Example, look at Ray Lewis and that mess. Who knows about that mess? Look at Ray Rice situation that never, ever solved itself because the NFL basically blackballed him. This looks far worse. Yikes, says Rob Rashute. Russell Weeks says, look at Kellen Winslow Jr. Exactly. Robert Shoot again. Peter never lets me in his house with a cell phone. I don't. I mean, seriously, I don't understand it. If you got all this money and you're doing some activities that are not necessarily the best, and you know that the NFL is going to be watching you, why let friends in your house that have cell phones? I've never understood that at all. It always happened to Johnny Manziel. There was always a video out there of him doing something stupid. Like just don't hang out with those people. Stay at home and tell them, ban your cell phone. That's all I'm saying. People love dirty laundry. It's sadness. It's a shame. Best Virtual Edits video says, yo. Best Virtual Edits video says, laugh my ass off. Is that the real Antonio Brown? It is not the real Antonio Brown, but if it is, whoever it is, thanks a lot for tuning in to the Evolution of Sports Talk. Television man, no, laugh my ass off. David says, I'm agreeing here. Defending players in the NFL is like defending pit bulls. You love them, but they keep on messing up. Not every NFL football player. You know, there are some great NFL players out there. We have some of our own. Mike Evans, guys that are on this team. Tom Brady, of course, Rob Gronkowski, guys that do charity work in the community. Levante David. I mean, it's not all negative when it comes to the National Football League, right?
No, I don't think it's all negative. I really don't. I mean, I don't think he was saying, I don't think he was categorizing all the players, you know, are pit bulls. I understood what he meant.
Okay, good stuff. I guess we got Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy ready to come on also, so we'll get him on in just a little bit, see what he wants to talk about. If he wants to talk about these Rob Gronkowski comments, about Robert Kraft's comments, about Antonio Brown and what he said about basically him and playoff Lenny working things out, possibly coming back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you think? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Russell says Tom Brady probably supports Trump and further lets us know why he's the GOAT. No political talk here, guys. Most of these free agents don't want to go to BS states like Seattle, Washington, New York, and California. Best virtual edits video, Biden over Trump. All right, enough, guys. And Antonio Brown, talk to my agent, would love to be on this show. Let's go out to the phone lines. You're on the Evolution with our professional handicapper.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hey, it's your neighbor.
Okay, I know that's a troll, so nice job.
That was pretty good, Peter.
That was not my neighbor. I know my neighbor is not sounding like that. So nice try with the troll job there. Appreciate you guys. Again, call the phone lines. Don't waste my time. I mean, whoever did that, thanks a lot for the view. Thanks a lot for the call. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Mr. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Welcome to the Evolution here with yours truly, along with my professional handicapper, Harry the Greek. What do you have to say tonight?
What's up, brother? You know, I'm out here in front of the studio movie girl at the Seminole City Center, and I've got the best lighting. Peter calls it my glamour shot lighting. I love it. So I was walking Ruth, listening to the show tonight, just loving it. Shauna Sports Dawn and Joshua Cole Allen. And, you know, we could talk about anything, but, you know, one thing I didn't talk about yesterday on my cup of Ray, self-serving, was we were talking NFL rules. And one thing I didn't bring up, and I wanted to know what you and Harry, the Greek, thought about this, was there's Ruth in the background, the proposal to have the eighth official in the box. So you have that on-site instant review. So that, because, you know, let's be honest, guys, and let me ask you this. First of all, we've grown up watching football. Harry, you go back as far as I do. Peter, you're almost there. And don't tell me that the officials on the field haven't already been getting help from New York with these calls. You know, you see the four refs come in and they talk and they get the right. And I mean, it's so hard because they do a phenomenal job. I couldn't do it. Real time on a field with guys twice my size running full speed, and I'm trying to make a call, and I've already appreciated that. So I don't see it different. You know, getting that eighth official on site. We always talked about taking the out of the hands of the official on the field, but I think that's a great thing, and I want to know what both of you thought about that.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's about getting the calls right. I mean, that's what it comes down to, getting the call right. If you have an extra official, does that do that? I mean, we talked about the replay with the pass interference. That didn't necessarily do it justice. I mean, for me, is it going to get the call right? Is it going to help out the referees? If so, I'm all in favor of it. I'm not a purist to the point of saying, okay, we can't do this, we can't do that, because we've seen referees get calls right, and we've seen them get calls wrong at critical situations to cost teams wins and losses. So I'm all about getting the call right. What do you say, Harry?
You know, I think they're taking the human factor out of the game. You know, that's just my opinion. I was never big on instant replay because, I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, how did the NFL ever manage for so many years without instant replay? Okay, you had a bad break, you lost a game. But you know what? There were a lot of times in instant replay in the past 10 years that I've seen after rewatching the play that instant replay gets it wrong because it's a bang bang play. But the eighth person, do I think it's look, the next thing you know, they're going to have 10 people doing it. Okay.
And
let's be real. I mean, it's just going to be like baseball. It's going to be computer generated. You're not even going to have an umpire back there. It's going to be like strike one, strike two, strike three.
And now, Harry, I totally get what you're saying, and I agree with you, because we've always talked about, and of course the NFL, I don't know if it was the head official who was on site, Jerry Markbright, or, you know, Ed Hockley or whatever, that never wanted to have somebody else that had that infinite eye in the sky type of a view. But I got to say this, and guys, that's what I'm kind of getting at here, is we seem like we're, you know, it's something that they're going to propose. They're going to have those virtual league meetings here at the end of this month, and the rules committee will be considering these possibilities, the rule with going for the 4th and 15 instead of the onside kick, going for the coaches maybe not being interviewed till after the NFC or AFC championship game, and then new coaches hired till after the Super Bowl. But if not for that Rams Saints game, 2 years ago in New Orleans, and that egregious miss on that call. And I know we can, and Harry, and that's the reason why I'm right there, because I agree. It takes the human factor out of it. But I think all of us agree that the Rams got screwed there, or the New Orleans Saints got screwed. And of course, NFC South, it feels weird making a defense for those Saints, but they got really screwed in that game by that missed egregious pass interference call.
I agree with you, but I don't think they need to be using replay for a hit. Period.
But to me, I mean, if it's a penalty, and you look back at the situation last year with Shaq Barrett getting called for that penalty, if you're going to review that and it comes up to be in your favor for the Bucs at that point, and you don't have a penalty situation and you got the call right, then I'm all about that at the end of the day. And I find it very amazing where people say, well, you take the human aspect out of the game. Look, the NFL just signed this huge contract with streaming rights and all this great technology and all these cameras, and yet you don't want to use it. It doesn't make any sense. I agree. The human element out of the game. You got to use the technology that you have at your fingertips. And if it's, again, going to get the call right, then I'm all about it. What do you guys think? 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. We're going to read some of these comments here. Let's see. Antonio Brown is UCAN. Ben Israel, same as Troy Polamalu. Troll is also UCAN. Best virtual edits video. Bucs time. Is he a troll? I don't think he is. I think Russell Weeks is a bigger troll. UCAN is a huge troll. And really great stuff, guys. Got to run. Go Bucs. Thanks a lot there, Rob. Let me go ahead and fire those. So I know that Harry heard the comments from – stop stopping your fingers at me there, Tampa.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to get Ruth in the shot.
Okay, that's all right. What was your thoughts on Gronkowski's comments today? Did you happen to catch them?
Yes, I did. And again, I think that he was just reiterating the fact that he's just – because here's the thing. I don't think anyone was ever in question about the fact that Rob wanted to bring it back again and play with Tom and be here. And it's not even so much – I mean, if this was the Detroit Lions or if it was the L.A. Rams or if it was the Las Vegas Raiders, but Tom was there and he had come here to play with Tom, wherever that may be, I think it would have kind of almost been the same boat, especially even if it would have been like they got right on the precipice of the Super Bowl but didn't get that victory. But, of course – Bucs dropped the mic in 2020 and get 55, put another Lombardi in a case over at the Advent Health Facility, one Buck place. But I think he's just basically reporters are talking to him. And what else is the guy going to say? He said he was going to dip his toe, and he literally dipped his toe for a cup of coffee in 5 minutes. And that's all he was responding to, the fact that there were some other teams that were interested. But I don't think, and I'm not putting Gronkowski down, he's in the Hall of Fame. I don't think it was well, is he in the Hall of Fame? I believe I think he is in the Hall of Fame. Just in the 24 touchdowns and postseason touchdowns he has with Tom Brady and the career he's put together.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. I got to read this comment. I love it. Gary, each NFL team is a multi-billion-dollar business. Any corporation, what's data and perfection? The human element went out. The human element went out with the payphones and the pagers. Agreed.
I agree with it too. I didn't say I was happy with it, but I mean, actually, Gary and I talked about that at my shop. I mean, about 3 years ago, because we were talking about, it was actually a couple of years ago, right when that hit happened with New Orleans, and I don't know, man. I can't see using instant replay, and for a penalty, I just don't do it. It's got to be the human eye. That's just my opinion.
And Harry, let me ask, Peter, sorry, but I want to ask you this because, of course, the Monday Night Football just celebrates their 50th year this past season. And guys, and I alluded already to the fact that Harry and I are pretty close there. And Peter, you're not too far behind, but we got a couple of years on you. But well, and the thing is that we go back to when we were watching games on CBS. CBS, of course, had the NFC and NBC had the AFC. And it was like literally 3 cameras in the stadium. And all of a sudden, Monday Night Football came about. And that was a big thing that they introduced on Monday Night Football. I think it was, I want to say it was the gentleman who went on to become actually the sports president at NBC, but he introduced like 15 cameras and they went to these glamour shots. And that's where he started introducing these different camera angles. But we go back to when it was just 3 cameras, Harry, and not to put you out, Peter, and it helped us become analysts of football, if you will, anyone our age, because we didn't have those instant replays at one point. We didn't have 15 or 20 camera angles. We had to make a call based on what we saw. And I think and I'm not putting down today's youth and today's fans, especially my children are coming up watching, loving the Bucs, but I'm wondering, did it make us better analysts of the game?
I would say so, Ray. I mean, I remember watching the game, and when I had to change the channel to go from the one game to the other, I had to get up and physically turn the knob 3 spaces, dunk, 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 and then play with the rabbit ears and say, "Yeah, we got it. Don't move." And I remember having to hold it, watching the game like this. Yeah, that made me a good analyst.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
I definitely think it's made us more, we're more information savvy, right? I mean, you got the internet now, you've got Twitter, a lot of fans are a lot more intelligent than they used to be because the information is there. So I agree with you. And then on top of it, you have a DVR now, you have streaming, you have so many ways to get information, just like Bucs Report here. It's a streaming platform. We stream, every other day here. Live on Bucs Report with information. So I think it has made fans a lot more intelligent, and it's made us better fans in general.
Hey, Peter, can I ask you a question? And Harry, you too. So we see the NFL closed off all their television contracts. NBC is going to keep Sunday Night Football, game of the week. Fox is going to keep the NFC. CBS is going to keep the AFC. And then, of course, they add those Thursday night games. They're going to go on the Amazon streaming service, which means basically we have Amazon Prime, and I'm sure both of you do anyway, or at least most of our fans out there, Bucs Report fans watching. And I mean, so the NFL cashed in. They're looking at, I don't know how many billions of dollars over the next 11 years this television contract is for. And that's why I think we all question. There's no doubt the entire world suffered in 2020 with COVID-19. The entire world shut down. Hopefully it took 100 years to see this. I'd like to say we never see it again, but I'd like to say at least maybe it takes 100 years so we don't see it in our lifetimes, although maybe we're around in 100 years. But now I'm wondering, did the NFL, Peter, you were always the one proponent of this, the NFL wouldn't go to 182.5 on the cap. Do you still think maybe the NFL announces in the next couple of weeks, maybe they're going to bring that cap a little higher? Wouldn't that seem to be like,
it would be nice if they brought it higher this year, but I think it's probably more of an impact next year. Although, who knows with the National Football League, you just never know. But there's one thing for sure. Everybody's getting paid next year. If they didn't get paid this year, and that's why you see so many one-year contracts around the free agency landscape, is because everybody knows that if you produce this year, you're definitely going to get paid next year. And I think that's why Godwin was willing to sign a one-year contract, because he knows that if he plays under that and he does everything he's supposed to do, he's going to most likely get more than that wide receiving market was able to provide. So with the streaming thing, I think there's a lot of people that are concerned about it. Is it exclusively to Amazon Prime on Thursday nights, or is it going to be on NFL Network and Fox Sports like they've kind of alternated?
That's a great question. I have had the NFL Sunday ticket since it cost me $19.23 when I had that big, huge 14-foot dish in my backyard that used to take 5 minutes to go from one transponder to the other. And then when DirecTV came out with the little dish, my first NFL ticket was $99. Do you know it's almost $500, guys? It's $400 and some dollars now. It's going to be over $500. So yes, the NFL is going to get like $9 or $10 billion in the next 8 or 10 years, and part of it's going to be streamed, but we're the ones who are paying for it.
Hey, Harry, let me ask you this. Go back to that satellite, and I'm going to ask you this because, we're not going to hide your love. But do you remember back in the day when you could take that satellite, and Bucs fans, believe it or not, there was a time with the 75-mile rule, and Peter, you know this too, that games were blacked out. And Harry, how great was it when they would play Chicago or Detroit and Green Bay? Of course, we were still in the NFC. What was at the time the NFC North or NFC Central? And you could take your satellite and you could adjust it to receive the Fox television station, or CBS, I think at the time, out of Chicago, and you could illegally pick up those Bucs Bears games here over the old Big Sombrero.
Before, not only that, Ray, we not only were able to get to be able to watch every Buck game, even when they didn't sell out, but we would get what they call the uplink. And the uplink never had a commercial. So when they did break for commercial breaks, you get to hear the announcers talking. You got to hear all the dirty talking. I mean, it was just, I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of doing it, but that was so much fun. I remember Brent Musburger talking. Hey, Ruthie, be calm, Ruth.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, there's another dog. I'm going to get her a headlock here.
Anyway, I remember some of the uplinks and Brett Musburger actually screaming at his production guy, and he's just saying, "I told you to don't forget to bring me that damn coffee, and I wanted it black. No more alcohol for me." And next thing you know, he goes, "Welcome to CBS," and I'm Brett Musburger. I mean, it was just so cool, man. It was just so cool.
And that's a guy right there that gets into gambling for sure.
Oh yeah, right, Peter. So now he literally is on the, what is it, the VSIN or VSIN, and they're actually on the floor of the Vegas casino. And and you guys, I was watching that yesterday. I watched a piece on the March Madness, and I hope, Harry, you and I talked about, maybe we cover this on the Over Under on Wednesday night. Of course, we'll have to run it by our producer, who is, by the way, Mr. Peter H. Blake. But they ran a piece on that and how big gambling's come with the March Madness and brackets, and that's where we first got the Sweet 16 and the Cinderella story. But Brett Musburger's doing it live over there. He walked away from a lucrative television contract to go out there, and he's getting on the base. And so many states are actually getting in now on legal gambling. Florida's not there yet, but we're taking a lottery and taking money out of the front door and putting it in the back door. And instead, we put it toward education. But I'm not going to go into a political view on this evening.
Yeah, please don't do that. No.
No, I can't wait till Wednesday night, because there's going to be a little bit of a different format for it, and it's got a really good energy to it. But I can assure you one thing: we're going to be talking a lot more about gambling and handicapping and lines and how to play and where to play. I mean, it's just so much fun. It really is.
Peter, did the Seminoles win tonight?
That's a great question. I didn't get a chance to see. Last time I checked, the Seminoles were winning by like 15.
They were, and that's why I talked. And Harry, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the entire, and this is a kind of a sell for Wednesday night, guys and girls, and everybody out there, sports fans, and especially betting fans. Of course, we here at Bucs Report, we never condone, nor do we suggest that you should be betting. But who in the world? My mother.
Oh yeah, bet with both hands. Both hands and both feet, baby. Just make sure you're sending it all in. Both hands and both feet.
Well, here's the thing. My mother's in a bracket this year, and I'm not. But my mother was very sure to tell me she was a little disappointed because she did not get Oral. I'm kidding. Oral Roberts. Of course, Oral Roberts. I love the joke out there, the meme this week. But of course, the joke out this week is that Oral Roberts has done what Urban Meyer's health conditions did. It both stopped the Florida Gators and the Ohio State Buckeyes from having success, but of course we're referring to football and basketball. But I'm glad you mentioned that, Harry, because on Wednesday night, I want you to explain to me a little bit more about how we, when you're looking at these lines for the basketball tournament now, as we get to the Sweet 16 and we're heading straight into the meat of March Madness, I want you to explain to me and everyone else out there exactly what we're looking at when we're looking at these lines for the basketball games in March Madness and such.
Yep, we're going to be talking about not just the lines, but we're going to talk about money lines. That's when, if you're the underdog or even the favorite, you don't have to give the line or take the line. And in some cases, it can cost you extra money, or the returns could be tenfold. It's really cool. And by the way, the Florida State did win tonight. They won big, 71-53.
Wow.
71-53. Michigan won 86-78. Creighton won 72-58. UCLA 67-47. Gonzaga to 28-0. 87-71. Iowa lost to Oregon 95-80.
Hey, how about hats off to the Pac-10? They go 10. They're 10-1 in the March Madness for 2021, and that's something we're going to cover on Wednesday night for those of you that may not be interested in the lines.
Look at you doing research over there. I'm so.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. But I'll tell you what, Loyola Chicago, I did have making it to the Sweet 16, and I did bet money prior that they'd make it to the Sweet 16. So I've already cashed, and I won a pretty good chunk of change against Illinois, the number one ranked Illini.
Oh, Harry, you're lucky you said that, because I was getting ready to say to you, you broke your number one rule. You never bet with your heart. But if it's Loyola Chicago versus Illinois, they're both in the same state, so I can't accuse you of that.
What did I always tell you to play, Ray?
The home underdog. Was that what you're going to say?
Yes, sir.
Well, there you go. Florida's out, by the way, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, because they weren't able to
get past Oral Roberts. I know.
Exactly. So
Florida doesn't do well with Oral. I don't know why. Roberts. Oral Roberts.
It's after.
All
That's
right.
what I meant. Oral Roberts.
We know what you meant. All right, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. We're going to wrap this up. Give me some final thoughts, my friend.
Do you know what? Let me just do a quick. I'm going to take my time here at the pen. Again, Peter and Harry, thanks for talking to you all me tonight. But I want to take this moment to do a shout out to my friend Shadkor. I'm going to throw it up here. He's got a new podcast. It's called Slides, and of course, you know Shad. He's part of a great group that I went down. TRC. I covered the Real Clash. I covered them at the Okeechobee Music Festival 3 years ago, and he's a friend of mine. And he's got a new podcast, and his first. It's on the 14th and the 28th of each month, and you can find him at www.shadcore.com/slides, which is the name of the podcast. Podcast. And his first interviewee this month, or his first guest, is Ian Beckles, the former Buccaneers offensive lineman and current host of WDAE's 5 to 7, or is it the 3 to 7 slot there on WDAE? And of course, you guys may listen to the intro on WDAE. Shad is actually the one, along with a couple of his very, very talented musician friends. They did the opening. They've done the opening for the new Beckles and Retro shows. So check them out there. And any information, I'll throw it on my Facebook page and put it in the messages. And check them out. And thanks for having me, guys. It's great talking to you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. We'll see you on Wednesday night. All right, boss?
You got it, brother.
All
See
right.
you, Ray.
Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay right there. So we'll wrap this up here, Harry. Go ahead and give me some of your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. It was a great show. Thanks for the opportunity for coming on. A few things from around the league really quick. Remember when I was telling you about the pundits? They always want to make, some kind of a story.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wilson's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. How about that? Ex-general manager publicly says that for the Tannenbaum from the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers is trying to restructure. Everybody knows that. Deshaun Watson, he has 13 lawsuits. I'm going to say over 20. The BS meter of the day is going to be a 3-team deal. Remember that thing about Russell Wilson going to Chicago, Sam Darnold going over there, and this guy getting over here, me taking your paycheck and I'm giving you mine? That's all BS. But what are my final thoughts? I think it's a really, really good day in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are still world champions. They won the Super Bowl. Maybe they can go for 2 more in a row. You can catch us Wednesday night, 9 p.m. You'll be producing the show probably. And my co-host is going to be Mr. Tampa Bay Ray, the best of the Bay. And it's going to be the over-under. And we're going to say, let's bet with the Greek.
There you go. Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. All right? Appreciate you. There you go. So we'll wrap it up here. We'll read this comment, and then we'll end it for the night. This is the only show that matters, Sports Web or bust. Love you, man, whoever you are. Antonio Brown, if you can. I don't care who you are, but thanks to all the guests, JCA, Joshua Cole Allen, Harry the Greek, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, and, of course, the web heads who make this show possible on Bucs Report. Join the 69,000, nearly 70,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Do 3 things for me here on late Monday night. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a good night.